During our Hampton City Schools Curriculum Writing Academy, when we bring teachers in to train on curriculum writing in our school division, this is one of the first slides that we share with them. And the message really we're trying to convey to our curriculum writers here is that the public tends to only see the outcomes and test results, but really our goal in education is to ensure that students master the intended curriculum and are learning to be successful when they walk across the stage. So this encompasses, as you well know, so much more than simply passing the state test. So really, therefore, we need to ensure that we're not focusing only on the outcomes and accountability, but on true student learning in order to give our students the education that they need and deserve. In the next slide, something I think back to when, as a teacher, when the state's curriculum framework documents first came out, it seemed like there were so many skills and standards to cover. It's just, you didn't have enough time to get through them all. And so often as a novice teacher, I found myself kind of ticking off these very discrete skills. And it was tough for me to see through a written curriculum how things worked together. And so this car really represents the way we used to do curriculum and really why it needs to change. The functional car here represents a system, and a viable curriculum should be thought of as a system if it's going to function really fully for our students. So if we only teach pieces of the curriculum in order to pass a test, then students will not have really a true understanding of what we want them to know, understand, and be able to do. Similar to the car shown here, that many educators, particularly novice educators, approach planning for lesson design and delivery in this manner. And as you can very well imagine, it won't get you very far. So for example, in many cases as a novice teacher, I made the mistake of when it comes to importance, that everything was just as important as everything else. And so whether we say the glove box candle is just as important as the engine, which we know is not true. Marzano, in a study he and his team said that taking a look and really an analysis of the Common Core standards, that if we were going to teach everything in the Common Core, it would take approximately an additional 12 years of schooling. And so in our curriculum, what you'll see is while from a coverage standpoint, we do go in depth, there are certain things that we believe are more important. And then the state has let us know through conversations and components of the curriculum framework documents where some of those priorities lie. The other thing is when you take a look at where we are today, and this next slide represents this, is when we talk to business leaders today, more and more we're hearing that they don't necessarily need students who have a bunch of information that could be Googled or memorized. And so what they need are things that cannot be Googled, such as collaboration, communication, critical thinking, creativity, citizenship. So some of those skills that business owners, employers are saying that we need students when they walk across the stage to have that skill set. So in our curriculum, what you'll see, again, the state has noted that the curriculum framework documents, those are minimum expectations from the state. So in some cases, you'll see the rigor ratcheted up a bit to account for the 5 C's. So if there's a simple skill, let's say in mathematics at the second grade, where students are asked to add some numbers, well, in our curriculum, maybe you'll see something that enhances it through, for example, how does a student communicate their understanding of that skill? And so again, in the spirit of the 5 C's, we believe you'll find our curriculum challenging and certainly above and beyond minimum expectations. All good to great organizations began the process of finding a path to greatness by confronting the brutal facts of their current reality. Many of you have read Jim Collins's work. So when we think about our reality in Hampton, going back 5 years ago and where we were, and this emphasis on multiple choice assessments and really an internal curriculum audit that we conducted, if we go to the next slide and take a look at some of the brutal facts, for us, it was that many teachers were focusing on coverage in discrete facts and kind of plotting through the pacing guide. And that really became the focus and the intent as opposed to a greater focus on ensuring students were walking away with mastery and true understanding. We also saw, like many divisions, that we had an over-reliance on the use of multiple choice assessments. And so really it was silo thinking when it came to teachers and and looking at how we would determine mastery of content. And so you'll see in our curriculum, we do take more of a balanced approach to assessment. You'll see, for example, what we refer to as signature performance assessments built into grades K through 8. So again, there's a time and place for multiple choice assessments. However, and certain skills call for another opportunity in reference to an assessment option other than a multiple choice assessment. Too much content, not enough time. Again, you'll see some of those, what we refer to as power standards, prioritized in our curriculum units. And then again, lastly, many students learning to prepare for a test versus learning to demonstrate understanding and transferability of big ideas. And what we found in many other divisions as well is when you focus on the right thing, doing the right work, that byproduct of that is an increase in student achievement. And so test results, we believe, will come if we do the right work. So you'll hear one of our focus areas, the superintendent's focus areas in our school division, is that of a guaranteed and viable curriculum. And so before we get to kind of what are those working operational definitions for classroom instructors, at Hampton City Schools, in order to ensure effective and efficient use of our written curriculum, we guarantee the following. So number one, each unit will contain enough description to be generally understood by non-experts. One of the things we talk about to our curriculum writers in the training is designing written curriculum through the lens of a first-year teacher. From a customer service standpoint, servant leadership philosophy, we should be able to deliver this product, and a first-year teacher should be able to take the playbook, if you will, and be successful from an implementation standpoint. Each unit is lean, containing only the highest quality elements for each section. If you think about that car, the picture of the car with all those discrete parts, we help teachers put together those pieces and to make sense of it really in an orchestrated way, whether it's an interdisciplinary approach or not, so that, again, only the leanest, the highest quality elements are in each curriculum unit. So what is a guaranteed curriculum? There's a lot of research that speaks to the overall effect and impact of a guaranteed curriculum. So for us, what we say is in the sense that, again, all teachers have a shared understanding of the intended learning outcomes. And in many divisions, you have multiple elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, and really your education shouldn't vary that greatly from one school to the next. And so as a department in a secondary school, as a grade level in an elementary school, when we leave perhaps a planning meeting, a guarantee through our curriculum is that hopefully that as a team, that you are walking away with a shared understanding of what is it we really want students to understand, know, and be able to do those intended learning outcomes. So we're making that guarantee through our written curriculum, that again, through the lens of a first-year teacher. Another part of the guarantee piece is that it's actually taught by teachers. And so again, it's a systems approach in the division carrying out the curriculum. There's not a lot of great variance from classroom to classroom regarding the content. Another guarantee we make is that all students, when we think about Tier 1 instruction, all students have access to learning the essential intended learning outcomes. So regardless of my disability status, I'm being exposed to that Tier 1 content from an access standpoint. When we speak about viability, next slide, viability, so a guaranteed and viable curriculum, viable in terms of longer term intended learning outcomes for each subject and discipline in terms of a portrait of a graduate. So we know what the Virginia Department of Education says about expectations about students walking across the stage, what that portrait of a graduate looks like. Many divisions have their own portrait of a graduate, but in order to get the student across that stage and to be prepared for them for that next chapter, that this curriculum has to be viable. Further, taking a deeper dive as far as viability, there's a logical alignment to the standards of learning. Kind of back to the guarantee piece, we make the guarantee in our curriculum that you don't necessarily have to pick up the curriculum framework document as you're planning, that everything you find in the state's curriculum framework document and documents and then some, you will find on our curriculum instruction and assessment headquarters website inside of our written curriculum. And then lastly here, viability, you'll see this throughout, that our curriculum builds in, incorporates some high yield instructional strategies. And there are three that we go over in depth in our video on the curriculum website. But again, those are one or more incorporated into each one of our units. On the next slide, the graphic here, just depicting that, if we think back to curriculum and instruction back in the day, it was a document that often came out the end of August, early September, was printed in binders and delivered to students, and it was it for the year. That was the curriculum. Obviously, with the beauty of technology, things have evolved considerably. And so for us, it is not something that is printed and placed on the shelf. It's an ever-living, breathing, changing document. The beauty of Google Sites, of course, is that when we receive feedback from individuals, teachers, that we're able to make adjustments on the fly. Sometimes we're out and about, other administrators and classroom walkthroughs. We see an exciting lesson or a teacher who's taking something in the written curriculum and put their own spin flavor on it and really enhanced. And so opportunities, sometimes you'll see embedded videos of a teacher sharing a strategy he or she has implemented with success and that we're embedding into our curriculum. So you'll find that it, again, living, breathing document. Every now and then you'll also find perhaps something like a link missing, or there's a need for some clarification. And so on the next slide, what you'll see is a screenshot on the pacing guide, which you'll see here. I think we're drilled down to a grade 2 pacing guide. You'll see if I were to scroll down, which we've done here, you scroll down at the bottom of each unit or pacing guide, you'll see feedback questions where we're here to help, right? So here are our curriculum leaders and teacher specialists. Don't hesitate to reach out to them for clarifying questions or assistance. Also, if you have suggestions on enhancement, improvement for the particular unit, even something as small as a learning intention within the unit you feel needs some additional clarification, perhaps, again, looking through that lens of a first-year teacher. If we were to scroll down, you would just simply enter that information to this Google form. This is monitored daily, and certainly the website continues to grow and become enhanced as a result of feedback from its end users. With that being said, we thank you for taking the time to view this video, for partnering with Hampton City Schools, and we look forward to your feedback and use of our resources, and best wishes for a successful school year.